Very much. Hello, everyone. So it's so hard to start after lunch. So I do my best to keep you awake all along the presentation. So as you said so well, I used to be actually the head of the language center of the University of Mons because I'm nearly retired, so not yet, but I keep getting involved in a lot of projects, and especially European projects, which are supported financially and which make that interesting that we can collaborate with many universities and other partners. So first, before starting speaking about the project itself, I have a question for you, for the audience. Yeah. Speaking in terms of food, right? Only food. When I say Belgium, what does that make you think of? Waffles. Waffles, chocolate, nice. Other thing, maybe? The last thing? Yeah,
French fries.
The French fries, yes, that is, yeah. It is now a globalized product, yeah. Beer also. Right? Beer. We have excellent sorts of beer that are completely unknown by most of you, I'm sure. When I say France, what does that make you think of?
Snails.
Pardon?
Snails.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Another thing? Wine, of course. Wine. Or not. The last one?
Croissant.
Croissant, yeah, that's something typically French, baguette and croissant, but also cheese, right? Cheese is also very famous. Okay, this introduces actually the subject of today. The project is about food. And food, but not the food industry as considered as a big industry, but a small business, right? Okay. Let's start. First of all, you know, or you probably know that many studies were carried out by the European Commission that say the same thing. Commercial transactions are always and very, very often hampered by linguistic and cultural barriers. You know that linguistic, that seems quite evident, but cultural barriers is also linked to language as well. And starting from that idea, some universities or some partners decided to set up a project, an inter-regional project, which we called Similar, right? Similar means intercultural and multilingual strategies for business, right? So the word business is important, but also certainly the word intercultural. It was born in 2019, as you will see later as well, and as a sort of cross-border cooperation between Flemish, Walloon, and French universities on the one hand, and on the other hand, food experts and manufacturers, but small businesses. That is. It started, as I said, in 2019. It ended last year, so that means end of 2022. But we need to disseminate the project because I don't know if you have already been involved in European project. As usual, the project is finished. The money, there is no money anymore, and the project stops. And that's not what we wanted. We wanted to disseminate, to extend, to make it productive, and to make it sustainable. And that is it. The total budget was about 750,000 euros, which was not a big amount, but it was okay for the 3 universities. And it covered a zone which you might not know what I mean by a zone, a cross-border zone. And I will explain you that in a minute. This is France, this is Belgium, and the project covered that zone. If you can see what I'm showing you here, that is the zone all along the border between Belgium and France, okay? That means in Belgium we have Flanders, where people speak Dutch, and in the south we have Wallonia, where people speak French, right? So we had to manage all that. And more particularly, the covered zone was this, indeed to detail. If you know a bit of France, Pas-de-Calais, Ardennes, and so that is what is called les Hauts-de-France, in France. And this is a part of Flanders, and this is a part of Wallonia, right? That was the zone which was covered. We had a team of language researchers, practitioners, that was also important for developing material, anthropologists, and that is interesting when you speak in terms of culture, and also economists, because we speak in terms of business, we needed to have economists as well. Partners, the leader of the group was came from Ghent, which is an institute of higher education of Ghent, the city of Ghent, our university in Mons, and from the French side, University of Lille. If you know that. There was also a training center, which was also a partner of the team, or part of the team, called Sintra West. So more a sort of employment agency training center at the same time. Okay, we got many associated partners. I have just listed a few of them. But from what you can see, well, most of them are employment agencies, because that's important, because we needed to promote business, but we needed to promote employment as well. We got also the support of the Wallonia Export Investment Organization and many other federations and groups concerned with food, because that was the focus. We needed to explore the businesses, but developing food production. So the target audience were the small and medium-sized enterprises, so the SMEs, but also the very small enterprises, sometimes one-man businesses. So the startups, small family-run craft businesses, with a sort of corporate social responsibility profile. I don't know if you know that, but these days this is a trend. So more and more businesses have to adapt and have to become more and more sustainable and have to prove that they produce their energy in a sustainable way, for instance. So we explored also more particularly those businesses. And finally, we focused more particularly on producers of emblematic products, and we talked about beer, about chocolate, cheese, waffles, and so on. So producers of emblematic products with a cultural identity. That means that you think of the country, you think of the people, and you know, that means chocolate. They have good chocolate. So that was for us very important. We wanted to promote that. As you know, local food is also being promoted very much. So buy local is really a slogan that now is really trendy. And so we didn't want to get interested in the big industry, but only the small business, right? So I already said about Belgium, which is a land of beer brewing, is also a land of chocolate, especially concerning the quality of the chocolate. We know that the Italians have also good chocolate, the Swiss, of course, as well, the French as well. We should be really astonished to see that they catch up with the flow. But the quality of Belgian chocolate is a very well-known fact. Right, cheese for the French. You know, did you know that Charles de Gaulle, one of the past presidents of France, said, how can you govern a country where there are 258 varieties of cheese? This is just a quote to let you see that, okay, cheese is really one of the national products. Okay, good. What were the objectives of the project? Three things. First of all, offer a sort of innovative linguistic and cultural support strategy, right? We want to help the small companies to enter, to expand their production and across the border. So explore the border, the cross-border market. Secondly, we wanted them to improve their multilingual and intercultural skills. And that is really a challenge, because when you speak in terms of businesses, you know that businesses, it's like university teachers, they never have time. So they don't spend, or they don't even aware of the fact that they don't know about the culture of their neighbor, and they don't think that it might be important, it could be important for their expansion. So we wanted to promote those intercultural skills as well for the employees and for also the job seekers, right? So that a Walloon company could just recruit across the border and through the French name. And finally, we wanted to facilitate contacts between the various professional players. What were the actions undertaken? First of all, we started with setting up a sort of qualitative, not quantitative, but qualitative field service by interviewing lots of companies. That was our first step, to know their needs. So exploring the needs, discovering their weaknesses, discovering their strengths, and so on. Secondly, and that was the main part of the project, developing language and culture, also CSR and legal modules on a new digital platform. And I'm happy to link to the website, actually, to enable companies to assess their level of command of linguistic and intercultural skills in their sector. So we wanted to work to select a few sectors and then go for it, yes? And also, and that is something I'm very proud of, is by writing a book of food specialties. And I brought some of them with me. So for those who understand French, you have to understand, I offer you that as a present after the talk. Sorry for the online audience, I can't transfer the book to you. The first step was to organize online and face-to-face linguistic and cultural training sessions. Very difficult thing to do because we had to contact a lot of hotels, schools, things like that. So employment agencies helped us, of course, to set up those training sessions. And finally, and that is the step we are now in, is dissemination of the results that were acquired beyond the pilot sector, and so that we can apply it to other sectors. First step, the survey. So we tried to draft an interview guide. We asked a lot of questions, as I said, about the history of the company, the product range, strengths, the difficulties they had, how did they approach the market, distribution, export strategies they had, and finally the CSR. That was the first step. As you can see, I'm not going to, I'll let you just have a quick look at the sort of target SMEs that we had on the Walloon side. You see there are companies making alcohol, jam, cheese, beer, coffee, and so on, sugar, and so on. The same for the French. They also explored and interviewed those companies, and the same for Flanders. Don't think that Belgium is the same everywhere, so that they all react the same way. No, the Flemish have their own way of doing business. Don't worry about that. So that was the French side. The second, 5 minutes, all right. Okay, the second step was to develop language and cultural, legal, and CSR online modules. So first was identifying the corpus. Through all the contacts we had with those, the interviews and so on, we developed a strong corpus. Then we wrote the teaching scenario. How are we going to proceed? By writing communication activities, specific vocabulary, and we developed a glossary. So this is the platform on which we worked. I don't know if you know it, Articulate Rise 360. It's a marvelous tool. If you don't know it, try it. You have a free trial on that platform. Just Google Articulate and you will find it easily. It's an American company producing this app, but it's fantastic. It's an awful platform. It's really easy to use. And coming back to the glossary, we developed a multilingual glossary per sector. So if we focused on chocolate, we had a sort of list of 200 specialized terms about chocolate in French, Dutch, and English, right? This is an example of what you can find on the platform about chocolate, for instance, knowing that cacao is not the same as cocoa, right? Do you know the difference? So for the specialists, for the producers, for the manufacturers, it's important to know that, to put them on their labels, so then it's useful for them. Right, coming back to the book, the e-book and the real book of food specialties. It was a new concept because we didn't speak about recipes. No, we put the background information about the product, about the specialty, about something that is really related to history or regional product, and we published 30, we selected 30 specialties that you will find in the book. This is a few examples of pages that we developed. For instance, about French endives, which are really not French, they are Belgian. Les gaillettes is related to chocolate, but gaillette means also coal, right? Coal mines, because coal mines are were very prosperous in Belgium a long time ago. Speculoos, maybe you know it. It's a cookie, a sort of a biscuit, also typical of Belgium. We developed a similar praline. Praline is really typical Belgian term for bonbon in French, meaning that chocolate. That's it. And so the first step was setting up the training session. So we worked with a lot of partners for that. To skip that. And finally, we tried to disseminate the results by organizing webinars. Here you can see it's very funny because we asked a graphic specialist expert to draw some things. While the webinar was running, he developed some pictures, and it was very funny. So we spoke about the future of microbreweries. We talked about waffles. We talked about cows, because cows are different in France, Belgium. Yes, nearly finished. And we spent one study day, so a full day, on speaking about chocolate, right? Okay, that is my conclusion. What is really the meaning of what do we want to achieve? Well, as I said, and as you may guess, we want to increase the competitiveness of small businesses. We want to foster cross-border labor mobility by reducing cultural and linguistic barriers. That is really the point, and that's why we try to disseminate the results of this project, so that you are aware that culture and language is linked, and you cannot separate them. This is really if you want to do business in another country. Okay, this is a final picture about the whole team. We had our final event where we invited the manufacturers, and we had, of course, a lot of tasting moments, tasting all the specialties. What you can see here is what we call in Belgium the cougnou. The cougnou is that sort of bread, if you want, a sort of bread, typically eaten during Christmas, the Christmas period, and which represents the little Jesus. It's supposed to represent that. Another thing is the gin of Bash. So gin is also something that is made in Belgium. We have our Belgian champagne these days. You know that the sparkling wine is really, well, it's really becoming very popular in Belgium. And here on the left, you see that there's a lady, and her costume is made of chocolate. That is really, yes, promotion of French chocolate. The French have that touch of elegance, and yes, they are good at that. Much better than the Belgian. And all these sorts of things we try to compare. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and thank you very much.